Hello again. This is section 2, which focuses on invoices. And again, this is for self-count clients. So invoices are those pesky little pieces of paper that tell you what you just had delivered in terms of new product and what you need to pay your distributor. They're also very important to Bar I for the following reason. So as we said, the point of Bar I is better performance through better information. In essence, what we're trying to do is precisely compare how many drinks were wrung versus poured at the bar during the period. And the invoices relates to our calculations about how much product was used during the period. So if you imagine if you wanted to figure out how much Jack Daniels was used during a week, let's say the bar started with 10 bottles of Jack Daniels at the start of the week and they finished up with 8 bottles, it would be pretty obvious that you'd used 2 bottles of Jack Daniels during the period. Now let's say that during that same period we also had 4 bottles delivered, then obviously our calculation is that the amount in stock has changed by 2 and we have to add that 4 bottles, meaning that the quantity we've used is in total in 6. So that the information about what was delivered is critically important to our ability to compare wrung versus sold. And just to warn you, for every single time we're missing an invoice, there's going to be 5 or 6 questions about those missing products, and that's going to be a question we're going to be pestering you with. So if we can try, please, to establish a good system where we get those invoices first time around, it will mean we can do our thing, we'll bother you less, and we'll get those reports back to you without additional back and forth and time wasting. So without further ado, the most important part of this is that all invoices must be available in that shared Dropbox folder by 12 p.m. noon the preceding business day before you do your count. So if you're Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, just the day before, if you are one of the lucky ones that is doing your counts on a Monday, we need to have those invoices scanned in by 12 p.m. noon the preceding Friday. And it's important we do that. Monday is by far our busiest day, and so it's really important for our special Monday clients that we have that information ready to go by 12 p.m. noon on Friday. So in addition to scanning those invoices into Dropbox, before you do that, we need to have you check those invoices line by line to make sure what they say has been delivered is actually been delivered. We've been an inventory company for over 5 years now, and I can say that I have seen multiple times where I find errors that are in favor of the distributor, and never once have I found an error in favor of the bar. So it's frustrating because 99% of the time these invoices will be exactly correct, meaning it's easy to think it's not necessary to check them, but it is necessary because it's going to cost you dollars. One time we caught a distributor who had charged a client for a case of liquor bottles and only delivered them one. So finding that error saves them about $300, and it's not unusual. That might happen 1 or 2 times a year at your bar. So what I mean by checking line by line is that if you get an invoice and it has Jack Daniels on the list and it says 4 bottles, rather than just saying yes, there's Jack Daniels there, you need to positively confirm that there are 4 bottles being delivered. A couple of points also that's interesting. First of all, it's important that you have your delivery drivers deliver your new product separately to your existing product. If they go and stock it onto the shelves, or they go and put all the kegs right next to the other kegs, it's going to be difficult for you to establish what was just delivered. So it's important that, said, you have the deliveries done separately or delivered separately to the existing inventory. And ideally, we'd like to have someone present at the time the delivery is made so that we can send things back right there and then. But if not, it's important that the first person in, and people are aware of the system, that someone checks the deliveries in before they are stocked. And so we just request that you have some sort of system, perhaps a notice on the wall about how you check in invoices, and make sure that's done correctly. So unlike with our full service clients where we come to the bar and have their physical copies of invoices, in the case of the self-count clients, obviously we're going to be entering your invoices for you remotely, and so in order for us to do that, we need you to have you scan those invoices into Dropbox. As we said, we try and be organized. The invoices go into the number 1 invoices subfolder, and we need you to have a system whereby each time you scan an invoice into Dropbox, you mark that invoice so you can tell the difference between an invoice which needs to be scanned into Dropbox and one which has already been scanned. And the system we use for that is to write the word bar I on the top of the invoice and circle it, and do that after you've just scanned it, indicating that invoice has already been entered into the system. So another part of checking in the invoices, as we mentioned, sometimes there'll be errors, and we need you please to note or mark those errors directly onto the invoice. So if they say that, in that case, if they say that they delivered a case and they only delivered 1, mark that very clearly on the invoice. Please write legibly. Ideally, notify the delivery driver so they know at the time, but mark any changes or errors directly onto the invoice. It means you can do it right at the time. It's the easiest way to do it. And just a second note, please be careful to do it and write legibly. Other examples of things where we'd want you to write on the invoice is if you have the need to return product. If you get sent product you did not order, we strongly recommend that you return it. The distributors have their own set of aims. They've got their own sales goals. If you're in the habit of just letting distributors send you product that you didn't order, it very quickly becomes a slippery slope, and you will soon be having a bunch of crap sent to you every week, and you'll be charged for it, and your business will be less profitable. So it's important that we play the game with distributors, but it's important that we don't let them rule the roost. So when you get sent product you didn't order, send it back. And then another note would be removals. If you order product that is not going to be used in the bar, a common example is if an owner asks to have a case of wine ordered for them, it's really helpful if you can please note on the invoice, scratch it out and say ordered for owner. That saves us entering that information, entering the new item, only to find out that that's been sent somewhere else. Another one is if you're in a state where they get free product, if you're getting sent product which you don't wish to enter into the system, we'd like you please to mark it as do not count directly on the invoice, and that will help us make sure that we are focusing on the products we're interested in. We mentioned this in the introduction, but after you complete each of the 3 stages of a bar audit, those 3 stages is number 1 to scan your invoices, number 2 to count your inventory, run your point of sale, and number 3 to complete the variance report to resolve any funny looking issues. After you complete each of those steps, it's important you send us a notification. Remember, with invoices, we're going to enter and scan the invoices the day before, the business day before we're doing our counting by 12 p.m. And you need to please send the way you send a notification is one of 2 methods. Either, probably easiest, send an email to sc@bari.com just saying, hey, invoices are entered, or you can send a text to 303-219-1096. And the idea about those centralized email address and telephone number is we will distribute that notification amongst whoever's working that day, and it will ensure we can give you the best and quickest service. 2 other little things. We recommend that you keep a communication worksheet or a bar logbook behind your bar, and you use it to note any exceptions, like when you ring one product as another, if you're forced to use the open liquor button, if you run a party. If there's anything that's going to mess with results that isn't actually rung into the point of sale, it's great if you can please write it down. And by having that log or worksheet behind the bar, it means you're able to write it down right at the time of the adjustment or at the end of the shift, and it means you're not trying to remember back through 1 week or 2 week of adjustments, which inevitably leads to errors. So have that communication sheet behind the bar. When you grab that stack of invoices to scan them, please grab the communication worksheet alongside and scan it together. And then a final quick word, if you are doing your counts on a Monday and therefore you need to scan your invoices by Friday, but you think, oh wait, I've got another couple of orders, a pickup order coming on Saturday morning, please go ahead and scan the vast majority, the lion's share of the invoices. Do that by 12 p.m. noon the day before, and then you can scan and submit those extra invoices along with your count the following day. What we don't want to do is delay, your stack of invoices for one. Again, we want to get that data entry done ahead of time, and just bear in mind from our perspective, there's days when we're doing 20 audits in one day, and so we simply do not have time every day to do this invoice entering on our busiest days. So if you're not doing your invoices in time, I warn you, you will be at the back of the line, and it won't be beyond the realms that if you submit your counts at the same time as your invoices, we may not be able to turn your variance report around the same day. So that's very important. So that's about it for invoices for self-count clients. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you for the next section.